When I start to read a book, I don't just pick it up, turn to page 1 and start reading. What I like to do is read the overleaf, go through the table of contents, look in the areas of the book where they talk about the author, give some background on the author, the acknowledgments section. I like to see who contributed to the book. And then what's interesting about this book is that when you turn to the back of the book, you see this. Where you would normally find the index, you don't find anything. Why? Why is there no index to this book? Well, it turns out that some people have speculated that that Sarah Palin was trying to tweak the inside the Beltway people. That's the people not inside the Madison Beltway, but the Washington, D.C. Beltway, who, when they see a book like this, immediately turn to the index to see if Sarah Palin wrote about them. Well, she wasn't going to let them have that satisfaction. If they wanted to find out if Sarah Palin mentioned them, they would have to read the book. Good for her. On page 409, in the acknowledgments section, we see her writing, "I love to write, but not about myself." So after 400 pages of writing about herself, you wonder, well then, why did you write the book? Well, I think it's obvious why she wrote the book. She had to tell her side of the story, set the record straight, however you want to say it. Because the mainstream media had obviously been very hostile and unkind toward her family, her children. So, and she wrestled with this, and she talks about it in the book, because if she wrote the book, then people would say, oh, she's whining and we've struck a nerve, so what they said about her must have some element of truth to it. But if she didn't write the book, then people would say, well, she's not trying to rebut what the mainstream media said about her, so it must be true. And this is often a criticism I've heard of the Republican Party in general, is they don't do a very good job of defending themselves. They let the Democrats get away with saying a lot of outrageous things. Bush did not do a very good job of defending himself, but he said that he refused to lower himself and the office of the presidency to every little innuendo and accusation that the opposition made. And I can understand that principle, because as a colleague of mine once put it, he said, you never want to wrestle with a pig, because the pig loves to do it, and all you do is get dirty. For example, when they're haggling over whether spending should be increased on a government program 4% or 5%, the Democrats say, well, the Republicans only want to raise it by 4%. We want to raise it by 5%. So the Republicans are trying to starve our children or kill the elderly. And for a long time, the GOP basically ignored that, laughed it off, and trusted that the electorate would see it for what it really was, just a lot of nonsense. But then the polls revealed that these kinds of statements actually were gaining traction. And this just proves that old propaganda principle of the big lie, where if you say something often enough, no matter whether it's true or not, people will begin to believe it. So what's the point in telling a small lie? May as well make it a big lie. Just keep repeating it over and over again, and no matter how outrageous it is, people will begin to believe it. And so I guess Sarah Palin felt that in the end she had to at least make an effort to explain her side of the story. As I was reading this book, I got the feeling that I was detecting a kind of innocent optimism. And I thought to myself, can somebody really be this nice? Is it really genuine, or is there a phoniness kind of here? And then I thought, well, Brian, give her a chance. Don't be too cynical right off the bat. After all, there really might be another woman out there who's as nice as your mother. And I'm not saying that just because my mother's in the audience. I think that growing up in Alaska on the frontier helped to shape Sarah Palin's development and her attitude toward life. And that was one of the things I wanted to try to get out of this book. What motivates Sarah Palin? And I think three things really come through. Okay, I think we're going to have to stop here.